Broadcasting live from the backstretch at Saratoga, this is the Handicappers Report. Brought to you by CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Handicappers Report, coming to you live from the backstretch of Saratoga Race Course. Alongside Seth, Merrow, I am Anthony Mormino, and another beautiful morning. I don't even need the fan today.
Oh, it is.
We like the fan, but we don't need the fan today.
I like the fan, except I have so many papers I couldn't turn. I have one. You have one on your side. I have one on my side. I couldn't have them turn mine on because my papers were all over the place. But I was enjoying
my papers are different. See, I have 28 weight paper, and then they don't fly. They don't fly around.
Now it's
20
all
weight paper.
Now
See,
it's
not
all,
just the smooth silkiness of it, but the weight of it. Helps me out. But
I was enjoying the afterflow or whatever it is up from your fan. But you're right. Today, the humidity is kicked down, and it is a gorgeous day today. No question about it. I'll go back briefly to yesterday because I want to lament. It's just.
Are you the reigning Tyler Gaffleone fan club member? You want to? You jumped right into the jockeys race.
Yeah, and
just right into it.
And the jockeys race, and just to let people know on that. It's currently a tie on top. Flavian Prat, Irad Ortiz, and Tyler Gaffleone all have 7. So there's the jockeys race. Trainer side, Mark Cassidy's having a nice start to the meet. Mark Cassidy, Mike Maker, Todd Pletcher, all tied with 5 as well. Jeremiah Englehart's off to a good start.
Well, I think right. We have 7 racing days in the book, right?
Yeah.
I think Mark Cassidy is 1 on 4 of them.
Oh, it's not 7. We have 6. Right? Opening week
4
was
and
4.
2, so
2.
6.
Yeah.
So Mark Cassidy's won on 4 of the 6 days. He had the exacta yesterday, reversed for me, but good. He had the first timer. They didn't bet the other one. The other one kind of drifted. The first timer and the vet, the second timer were almost the same price.
Yeah, Abiento.
And he got the exacta.
Abiento was the only reason I'm not really lamenting yesterday. But I've said last Saturday, I thought, maybe I've turned it around because the first couple of days, just winners on top. I've just been the picks overall of the last few days have been very good. Playing around with the picks, and I hit a couple of nice exactas yesterday. But yesterday I lost 3 photo. You think, it's going to come around. It's going to come around. The 5th race, I have Iridescent. Shadow of the Wire Squints. It's a nose margin.
And all the Sandlot people go crazy.
That's right. After I'll have to see if that's streaming, and so I can catch up with that. Because
there's a very good chance
looks like it's probably in my
whether
wheelhouse.
you have the platform or not.
Yeah,
I can tell you, Seth, because Seth, we might be the old man get off the lawn, but Seth is pretty technically savvy, but I can't remember the last time I Googled to see if I could see something that it didn't show multiple platforms it was on. Now I don't have.
I may look for more obscure stuff because I have run into my whole thing is.
I have the DVD for Sandlot. I mean, because
we are way off topic now. But on the streaming platforms, my whole thing is, why isn't everything out there?
I have to tell you, I agree with you. I've never understood how, so we have HBO on demand, right? I'm like, it's much bigger now, their library, than a couple of years ago. But I used to think the same thing. I'm like, why isn't it 10 times as large as it is now? But you're right. I'm sure
Sandlot's one of those is out there, but I may not have the right.
Right.
So the 5th race knows photo finish. Boom, I'm on the short end. The 8th race, Kazuki at 7-2 winds up to be my top pick after a scratch. That one has the lead late, gets beaten by half a length in a photo finish, and then. I think I pulled up the wrong chart, but my dark horse play of the day yesterday, which changed, and I don't remember. Which
race were you in?
Was it the 7th, maybe?
The 7th race was Reserve Currency with Mike Maker.
I think that's the one that got me. Again, it was another boom, but literally head that I lost there with my dark horse play today, who about 100 yards from the wire, I thought, I got it. And you think, oh, those will all even out. But they did not even for me yesterday.
Might have been, I think Reserve Currency maybe won by daylight. Might be a different race. We had a couple of
it was whatever the dark horse.
Okay. One thing I didn't touch on it yesterday, so I don't want to breadboard it, but just to give you a thinking, I'm very contrarian because I found that it's fruitful at the windows. I mean, this whole game is pari-mutuel wagering, and it's not good to be a contrarian when you're on the Northway. It's really good to be in line with everybody. But at the track, my data says that it's rewarding. So you have races like one of the most popular things is, first drop in for a tag, right? It attracts attention. So I started to keep data on, well, who are the ones stuck in the mud here that seem to be, and it was a 2L with Sweet Duchess who was 1 for 22. Now, it was a little light on the payoff, $13 and change, but I was like, that's just an idea that I have, because I know that many people in maiden claimers, they like first in, the biggest drop in horse racing is that. So I started thinking, well, how about these 1 for 22 horses, 1 for 25 horses? Sweet Duchess was not juicy in the 8th race for Will Walden, but it was $13. But it's once again, in horse racing, I have found if many people are going right, it can be financially rewarding going left. And now I am taking on water publicly. I'm sure I am leading the pack in top pick, last place runners. I had 2 horses yesterday, Seth. One, Javier Castellano had what appeared to be one of the roughest first 600 yards of a race. And then it was somewhat confirmed to me when Frank Miramati said, pulled up, Senorita's pulled up. I'm like, because it was like, what's going on? It was the 9 furlong race, so it's right in front of us. And I'm like, first 15 yards, I'm like, what's going on there? Goes into the turn, he's getting pushed right back out. And the one, it's a long meet. It's hopefully a long lifetime. Just watching my chicklet go farther. Now's off the screen, and then Frank says, they're off, you lose. So It's like I've had some horses that, and these haven't been like 25 to 1 shots. They've been, but I've had a poor start to the meet. Tom Morley's runner, the big torpedo, sharp yesterday.
Very sharp.
I think that's 2 consecutive Stallion Series races, W's in a row.
I think that's
looks
right.
like he has. Where he spots will be important, but it looks like he's got some game there with the big torpedo on the turf.
It's always good to have a nice New York bred. You have
make
so
money.
many options. The race was the 3rd race, and I'll just bring it up again. My top 2 flip-flop there, but again, I had Boss of All as my dark horse play of the day, and I just got nipped at the wire. And I bring it up again because it wasn't the dark horse play today on TV, and keep that in mind. My dark horse that I gave out yesterday morning at this time scratched. And so if that happens and it's an early scratch, it's in, the 11 a.m. scratches, I'll post another pick. I'll put it out on Twitter, and I'll have the guys on the TV side post it during the day.
Nice.
So I did switch it up there to that one. And then just another 3 of those, I got nipped right at the wire. Oof, that was rough.
They say it evens out.
That's what, but
they
I
say,
had all 3 of them went against
But
me
I always
yesterday.
wonder, this isn't a game like, you say tennis, bad calls, each point is weighted equally. Now, some are more important because it could be a game point, etc. But in horse racing, it's like, well, it might even out like the resultant, but the payoffs are what I need. I had a superfecta, the famous superfecta that's on the wall at 7-Eleven. I need cigar to run out. My friend's like, you have cigar off? And I said, well, I took a shot. I took a shot out of the trifecta, so he ended up running 3rd. that day. But yeah, it evens out. I've won some trifectas since then, but none worth about 150,000. So yeah, it evens out all right. But I don't know if the pocketbook.
Yeah, for me, it didn't even out yesterday. Let me remind you that today there's a fan appreciation day at the Bridgeport OTB.
Nice.
If you're out in that direction, swing by. Always a lot of fun. Some food, prizes that are involved with a contest, PPs, a lot of good stuff on a fan appreciation day, and it gives us our chance to say thank you to you,
Friday, May
Bridgeport
10th.
branch.
So I think either they're going to get there very early or.
I had to I had to redo that yesterday because I had the wrong address. That's my fault, and I didn't change the date when I pulled it up. It's today. Obviously, it's today, this afternoon at the Bridgeport branch. Today at the Clubhouse Racebook, it's a $100 knockout challenge. You can swing down, have a little extra fun today at the Racebook. Tomorrow at the Racebook King of the Hill contest, brand new contest. That's going to be fun, obviously. Don't forget tomorrow's opening day. Anthony's going to have plays of the day at Del Mar throughout the meet, so you can check that out also. And today, right around noontime, we'll open up entries for Sunday's $150 Pick 3 bankroll. That'll be a weekly contest. So the entries will open up online this afternoon. It's just about noontime. They'll go through Sunday morning. All of that at Capital OTB. And let me alert you, nice show coming up at 10 o'clock. I said when I sat down, I hope everything holds together because we have two trainers and a jockey, and you never know when.
That's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, exactly. But if they all show up, it's going to be a great morning. Cherie DeVoe is in. She's has been having a really great 2024. We'll get caught up. Some of those nice runners that have run earlier this year will be running up here at Saratoga. She's already had some nice winners up here.
6 runners, all of them hit the board.
That could be right.
Like 3-1-2-ish.
She has. She's. I've got 3
wins,
3 replay wins here. Yeah, and she that Preakness weekend with 3 stakes, and so doing very well. Kendrick Carmouche also scheduled to jump on board. Always fun to have. Yeah, he had a couple, so timing was great. He had the first, he had the last. So timing great then. And Jack Sisterson on board as well. He has some runners coming up in stakes over the next few days, not only here but up at Woodbine as well. So should be a fun show at 10 o'clock.
Here's an obscure one. We had Broadway Tommy yesterday. What is it? The lid lifter.
Yeah,
that's the saying. So yeah. For Nick Zito, he had Nick on many years ago. He won an off the turf to meet. This will be even more obscure. This might even be more obscure than 28 weight paper. How many horses do you think in their career at Saratoga have won on their resume race 1 and won a race 9, which was the get out race? How many horses do you think have ever won an opener on a day and a closer?
On the same day?
No, in their whole career. Even
I was going to say on the same day. I don't know.
No, none. Unless Richard Dutcher Jr. had the horse, but none would do that. But in their whole career, I was thinking how that doesn't seem very odd, but I think that it is.
Yeah, because usually cards are written pretty consistently.
At certain times, especially in the old days when it was we used to call it the triple, but we call it the trifecta more normally now, was almost always either a New York bred race because they felt comfortable how many entries they get, or a mid to lower level claiming. It usually wouldn't be a 3X. Yeah.
But you're talking oddities like that, and having Nick Zito on yesterday. You mentioned with Nick, how many horses do you think have won a grade 1 at Saratoga 3 years apart? Commentator 2005, 2008 wins the Whitney. I'm sure that's a very select club as well.
Even, I mean, the fact that it's the same race wipes out a lot of people. But even if you win the hopeful, there's little chance, or the spin-away, even though spin-away was a grade 2 for a couple of years there, it's almost unimaginable that you come back 3 years later in training and grab another one. Ruby Slippers did it, though. Rubiano's broodmare, that's on her resume. She's won a race 1 and she's won a race 9. Not too many have done it, though, I suspect. But Ruby Slippers has done that.
Do you know the conditions? I mean, did The horse.
I think if you ask me, if I'm guessing, I'm going to say maiden special weights and 1X.
And that's possible.
That's but it seems like something to be like, well, you could do it. No, not too many horses have ever done that. So, but it's a beautiful day. I mean, I know a lot of times in the summer, I think people Seth Friday is kind of like the weekend. And they take a lot of days off. If you have some time, this is the day of days to come up
so far
for racing. I mean, it's beautiful out. I mean, absolutely gorgeous.
Gonna go to the play of the day?
I think it's time for the DePaul play of the day. Who will have Mr. Cox today or Mr. Beck?
Who is it today, Dino?
I was hoping maybe Steve gave us the water. He gave us the hotel room. I was hoping he would give us the track today. But it is the Brooklyn Cowboy who is been on fire for us this summer.
It's time to think DePaula and drive for less. Pick your Chevy, pick your payment, and DePaula delivers. Or every Chevy, 0 down payment, 0 first payment, 0 security.
So come join the family and think DePaula for all your automotive needs.
Hello, everybody. Kevin Cox, the Brooklyn Cowboy here with your DePaula play of the day from beautiful Saratoga Race Course. We'll be giving you our play of the day on Fridays and Saturdays throughout the meet, and we'll be basing our success on a 50 to win, 30 to place, 20 to show wager. In the first 2 years of doing this, we've shown a flat bet profit for our bankroll team. And after 2 races thus far, we have 2 winners and have more than tripled our $200 in wagers. We're going to dive into today's 6th race, a very competitive maiden special weight event on the dirt, and lean towards number 7, the Toner. This Churchill Downs Invader has shown steady improvement in the speed figure department over his quartet of starts and is one of only 2 signed on with any afternoon experience. In his last 3 dirt deals, he has led in 11 of 12 points of call before playing the fade a little bit late while still completing the triple. The I-Cups are left back in the tack room this afternoon, as Karamori likely is looking to have this one see runners coming at him in the lane and possibly get re-engaged before fading so quickly. A few others signed on here have shown some early zip in the mornings for their debuts, but when the rubber hits the road, experience is often the determining factor. So once again, our DePaula play of the day at Saratoga is in race number 6, number 7, the Toner. Have a great afternoon, and we'll see you at the races.
It's time to think DePaula and drive for less. Pick your Chevy, pick your payment, and DePaula delivers. Or every Chevy, 0 down payment, 0 first payment, 0 security.
So come join the family and think DePaula for all your automotive needs.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from Clare Court on the backstretch of Saratoga Race Course. And another marker. We're right across the street from the Horseshoe in 7 Ace Pole. And it's kind of like a flashback. I have visuals now. I can see the start.
Yeah, we opened our tent up.
We opened the tent up. I mean, it's feels much better. I mean, I like the airiness, the brightness of it, etc.
I was reminisce 2 or 3 years ago. Were you in here too, or was I in my show? The Horseshoe, looked in the
right there. That was
looked like should I go in and join them, or it was a little. He kind of stopped at the front of the tent, which was open, and
he only walked like 2 more strides over by the tree, and they came getting him. Which, knowing the end of the story, is fine, but that was the only moment I've had on this set.
He would not have been a good guest.
That would have been a problem, but he was very well behaved. He kind of was fine. So, but it's a beautiful day. Every time I see July 19th on the masthead, I think this was the day that years ago, it was a Friday in 91, and we didn't run very many in those days, Seth, but we had a 2-year-old 7 furlong race down at Belmont. We weren't up here yet. And Paradise Creek ran a hole to win. He would only have 1 more start as a juvenile. And then obviously, I know it's an obscure group, but I've said maybe one of the 2 or 3 best 10 furlong turf horses we've ever had. Wasn't a great miler, even though he pushed Lord of the Mat. when they were 3-year-olds. It wasn't a great 1.5 mile turf horse, but at 10 furlongs, always wanted to ask Bill Mott, if you had to take on Manila, it's Paradise Creek at 10 furlongs or Theatrical at 12. Which would you have preferred? Because I have maintained that Manila, who got into the Hall of Fame his last year of eligibility, is the greatest turf horse I've seen in the United States. If not, he's second to Secretariat, and he barely got in the Hall of Fame. I'm like, you realize he's the best there's been in our lifetime. You know, I'm like, the best. This is not like, and I tell people, there's not a question. Manila is by far the best turf horse we in the United States have had, and he barely got in by the skin of his teeth.
Yeah, it's funny you put Secretary there. I mean, how many did he just have? The one?
Two.
He had two.
The Man of War, where he set the track record, that Sky Classic event,
and then the last race,
and then the Get Out race.
Woodbine, yeah,
what, 13 furlongs?
I remember it was on the turf and it was up at Woodbine.
Yeah, the old Canadian International, the old Rothmans. I don't know who sponsors it now, but did they run that race the day you're up there, or is that a different day?
It might be a different day,
okay.
I think.
You go up for the Woodbine. It is different because they run that late with the EP tail. Okay.
As we were talking, I just saw two of the trolleys come in. And I'll remind people, if you come early and get breakfast. You mentioned coming and watching the workouts. Come early and you can get a little breakfast over there. It's a nice little breakfast buffet. But also this year they have the farm tours. And I know I had Jim and Tina Bond here last year towards the end of the meet. And they said they were getting great crowds.
They're
in the farm tours. It's a few of the local breeding facilities around. And so I guess since I saw the trolleys today, I guess it must be Fridays, but you can check on that. But it's fun. You go, grab a little breakfast, watch them work out, and then go see one of the local farms. So keep that in mind.
It's called the tram, but trolleys are good? Tram.
No. It's not the red and white thing. These were the town trolleys. Those blue.
Were they just on the track?
They came in the gate and must have gone down the.
Very nice.
They turned into that. They didn't come by here.
Is breakfast a buffet now? Where is it held?
The bottom floor of the clubhouse.
Okay.
So what was
because going back to the middle 80s when I had far more energy, we would come for the full day and have breakfast. It was upstairs and it was a buffet. And you went and you sat in the boxes, and it was tremendous.
I think you still can. Well,
awesome.
I think you can come and bring your own bag breakfast if you want to, and sit in the boxes in the morning. And so that's fun too.
Great places on earth. The opener today, 10 race card on a beautiful Friday, kicking off at 110. 2-year-olds dashing 5.5 on the turf.
I'm 8, 1, 4, and 7. I'm going to put no evidence on top. Why? First time starter by Vekoma. Vekoma's just been phenomenal so far with his. Win early offspring. This is the first foal, so there wasn't much to find out there, but the horse did work 10.0 before the 2-year-old sale. The dam herself, 8th in debut, but won the 2nd and 3rd starts. Overall, the dam 17 starts, 9 exacta finishes. So I thought there was some nice breeding here. Dean Reeves owned, Dean Reeves and Company, Randy Hill, potent team there. For Christophe Clement, who can have them ready. I think no evidence is very live in here. Governor Sam's going to be interesting. Comes in with experience, and George Weaver tried this one in a stakes race in the career debut down at Gulfstream. It was a win and you're in for a race over at Royal Ascot, and the winner of the race, Gabaldon, ran very well to run second. With the try over at Royal Ascot. So this one now moving into a more proper maiden level is intriguing. And then after taxes going out for Wesley Ward with the foreign breeding, I looked it up, and this horse was a purchase for $169,000 over in Europe at auction. Nice steady string of workouts. And hey, it's a 2-year-old sprinting on the turf for Wesley Ward. Enough said there. In the opener, 8, 1, 4, and 7.
Boy, talking about enough said. How about grandsires of Dane Hill and See the Stars? I am the 4 on top after taxes. Might be a day late dollar show with the Tyler Gaffleone, but we'll take a flyer there. Dew making the 3rd career start just inside of us with Gary Contessa, 2nd time on the turf, and then test score. Graham Motions first are by Looking at Lucky, who's been a very useful stallion, 4.37 in the opener. And
there was a picture on Twitter yesterday, Tyler Gaffleone with a fan, and the caption was, and I apologize if I've forgotten her name, but making her first stop at the track at 100 years old. And so to that woman and her family.
Where you been?
Oh my goodness! Good for you.
Good for you. Oh, absolutely.
Got a shot with Tyler Gaffleon, so that was nice. I also wanted to say hello. I meant to do at the top of the show. Tracy and Jolie, two of the ushers at the track that I walk by every day and chat with a little bit. I said I'd give them a shout out today. So Tracy and Jolene, appreciate the kind words every day. And Tracy actually bet my dark horse play of the day and was on the short, or it might have been a later one, but she was on the short end. She went down with me on one of those. She said, "Who do you like in this race?" And I gave her it's one of those that just got nudged at the wire. But
just a bit outside.
Race number 2 at Saratoga this afternoon. Conditional claimers, 8.5 furlongs on the grass.
428 for me in here. First time into tag. Wings Like Eagles for Riley Mott, making the third start of the season. I like the seasonal debut. That a little bit of a regression. Those were two-turn races down at Churchill Downs. Now we come up to the spot. Number 2, Magic 8 Ball, Tom Morley, who got the New York Stallion Series yesterday with his nice runner. Sends out this guy for the first time versus winners, second time in for a tag, and then number 8 for Chad Brown, D. Matrona, first time in for a tag, second start of the season. I very much like the return to the races effort at Monmouth. I think a nice foundation for this effort. 428.
I have it 6, 8, 4, and 3. 6 Unicorn Cake is my top pick, but that's also my dark horse play of the day. So I'll get into that a little more in depth in just a minute or two. Diamatrona in the second spot. I agree with you. Comes over from Europe. And the first start here was up at Woodbine in a stakes race. That nice grade 1 Natalma. That was the last start of last season, and I feel like you. I thought the comebacker was one to build on. Then they drop in for the tag today. Wings Lake Eagles for the aforementioned Riley Mott, I think comes in running very well. Also in the second, I have it 6, 8, 4, and 3.
And just as a quick note, I personally should have none whatsoever, nada. Negative interpretations of a Chad Brown runner who's at Monmouth Park.
I'm with you.
Not a second stringer. None of those type of thoughts should enter into your mindset. In fact,
I've had both Chad and Todd interviewed the past few years and asked, what should people make of those runners? And they're like, no, the right conditions are there, or just stall space or whatnot.
So don't be like, if he was good, but no. On to the third. Been around for, I guess, about a decade. It's the, prep race, the restricted ones for the Travers, the Curran. I think we've had, 1 or 2 winners come out of here to actually take down the big prize.
Yeah,
you don't need the
VE day? Wasn't he in a dead heat? Was that the dead heat? VE day?
Alpha?
Was it the VE? It seems like. But yeah, I was
Jerkins' best calls. It's Jimmy Jerkins.
I was kind of looking at the list and trying to figure out how productive the race is. And it's a mixed bag, and a lot of horses maybe.
Oh, yeah. No, there have been some rough winners.
And they don't necessarily come back and try the Travers. They go another direction.
With the Juddmonte runner that always underwhelmed? I'm going to have it here. Hofberger or something.
Oh.
Hofberg, who paid $250, who was always on the come and never came anywhere, was terrible.
But I will say, what stood out on the list to me was the first running back in 2009. Blame was the winner, who went on to have a nice career. Did not go on to the Travers, though. Went on and ran second in the Super Derby after a win in the Curran. So we'll see. These are kind of maybe up-and-comers or horses that have kind of flashed some talent and haven't necessarily come through. So late season, they're maybe taking a shot to potentially move on to the Travers, perhaps. But it doesn't always work out that they go there. And if they do go there, it doesn't always work out for them. But we'll see with this group. I have it 1, 4, 2, and 5. Unmatched Wisdom, I think, is going to go off at a very short price, and probably deservedly so. 2 starts so far for Chad and Klarvich, 2 very good wins. I think is legitimate to step into stakes company here in the third career start. And I think finds the field of horses that haven't necessarily proven themselves yet on the stakes side of things. Timeout in the second spot. Similar scenario, Bill Mott runner has shown some real talent. Nice little win last time to break the maiden when stretched to 2 turns. So seemed to appreciate the 2 turns and finished in front of Reynolds Channel, who was the nice winner up here just a few days ago in the subsequent start. And then Corporate Power going out off a win in the Sir Barton little stakes race down at Pimlico on Preakness weekend for Shug. Should be a player with this bunch also off a nice start like that. I've had 1, 4, 2, and 5.
I don't think VE Day ever won after the Travers.
No.
I think it was like 0 for 12. So he won the next out of the Curran into the Travers. I'm thinking he's the lone winner now of the Travers.
Was he New York bred? I want to say.
I'm
not sure.
I don't remember that part.
I'm not sure.
4-1-5 for me, just switching around the exacted timeout coming out of the big time 2-turn race. I tell you one thing, Seth, that's one of the I don't like it as much because I'm a contrarian, but coming out of Aqueduct versus the old days of Belmont, where the track configurations on the dirt are exactly the same, let's say, versus Belmont, where you had no 2-turn races, etc. There was an angle there, but timeout comes out of a 2-turn 9-furlong race, gets it today. Offspring of Curran, Unmatched Wisdom, odds on here, dynamic. Debut that was in the mud. I'm always suspicious of numbers earned in the mud, but then came back at 1-5, and to run a 98 and debut in the mud and then followed up with a 93 is impressive to me. And then Elephant's Ear, so 4-1-5 in this year's Curran.
All right, I will give you that dark horse play of the day. I kind of tipped my hat a moment ago because it's in the second race, and the dark horse play of the day today is number 6, Unicorn Cake. I have talked about it any number of times. I really like this class move, and I have for a number of years now. Steps out of a state bred allowance. Now, it's normally more of a string of these state bred allowances, but I think we're talking about essentially the same thing. A couple of state bred optional claimers and some state bred stakes races. The last race was that state bred allowance. But again, I think class-wise, we are looking at a similar scenario. Jeremiah Engelhardt, I think, is off to a very good start at the meet. We're getting 10-1. Kendra Carmouche, who we'll have a little bit later on, will be on board. I think things line up nicely for this runner at a decent price. So today's dark horse play of the day, race number 2, horse number 6, Unicorn Cake. And again, thanks to our friends at the Dark Horse Mercantile and Impressions of Saratoga, both on Broadway in downtown Saratoga. Thanks to them for their sponsorship. And again, always recommend you're swinging by. You will enjoy visiting. Lots of great merchandise to kind of just browse, and you'll find something you enjoy at one or the other of the stores downtown.
Absolutely. When we come back, middle pick 4.
More than 4 generations, Bruce Cerrone and his family have continued the 102-year tradition of delighting their local following and faithful summer crowd with the finest authentic Italian recipes. Classic Italian dishes made with the freshest ingredients, served in a home-like setting. Some things have changed in the last 102 years, but not Pinnell's commitment to the finest in Italian cuisine. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, just minutes from the track.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
It only takes one upset to make history, and now you can be part of Saratoga's long tradition at the Dark Horse Mercantile. The Dark Horse Mercantile offers a carefully curated selection of clothing, gifts, and home decor, from one-of-a-kind vintage racing memorabilia to select brands like Barber and Under Armour, as well as exclusive Dark Horse branded merchandise. So celebrate the Dark Horse in all of us at the Dark Horse Mercantile, downtown Saratoga, where the smart bet is always the Dark Horse. And I looked, VE Day was actually Kentucky bred. So there you go.
Yes, because I was just thinking how huge it would be for the New York bred, right, Thunder Rumble, to win the Travers. Yeah. You know, how big it would be.
All right, fourth race this afternoon. We're looking at plain vanilla $32,000 claimers. And again, 9 furlongs the trip.
7-6-4 for me, and Skylander Dylan Davis having a very nice meet. Second off the claim. Already got the W for Orlando Noda. Yono number 6. My next pick, Tom Amos, who got another win yesterday. Second off the claim of 32,000 at Churchill. And then Rocco Strong for Rudy. Claimed this horse on opening day. Is this the first horse to run back? It's tough with that Saratoga line because you see the June dates. Yeah. But I'm wondering if Rocco
Probably
Strong is the first to run back. Right. 7-6-4.
And I ran into one of the connections behind that one, and ownership on the ownership side.
Yes.
Said, yeah, you know, we this was a couple days ago. Said, yeah, Rudy's going to turn right around off the claim. Excellent. So we are certainly rooting for that one. 8, 3, 4, and 7. Going to put Command Performance on top. I thought the class drop was significant in here, and I didn't think it was necessarily. It's big enough that it's a concern. But you look at what the horse has been doing recently against better. I think they're just getting kind of realistic in here. Coming off a race at Churchill, ran 8th against better. So again, I think they're just hoping to spot properly. 6% in the second spot. David Jacobson, trainee, second off the claim. Bounced up to this level off the claim, and I thought ran well, and now stretches out this afternoon. I think the stretch out could be interesting. And then Rocco Strong. Again, I kind of liked it. Rudy got the horse and said, let's turn right around and take a pop in here. So I think the horse will be live in the 4th. I have it 8, 3, 4, and 7.
On to the 5th on the inner turf course. 8.5 furlongs, maiden claimer 75.
3, 7, 8, and 4. Positive carry on top. It's Chad Brown, Michael Dubb and company. Drops in for a maiden tag after a series of maiden specials. Clearly, they had some hopes for this horse. Debuted up here last year, ran a good second. Off of that, they tried a stakes race down at Laurel. That was the last race of the 2-year-old season. And now that they're there, they're knocking on the door. But again, with these kind of connections, I think after a series of, even if you're knocking at the door, you kind of say, hey, it's Saratoga. Maybe we pop in for the tag, get a win. And then it'll be interesting to see if somebody dips in and takes the horse, because again, I think there is some legitimate talent. I'll put positive carry on top. Redo in the second spot. I'm going to draw a line through the off the turf for last time. That was the first time in for a tag. Went maiden special weight to maiden claimer, but it was on the dirt. So this is technically, first start for the tag on the turf, obviously, but I'm giving it that kind of a scenario of the class move here with the surface situation. And then Mike Maker has Our Finest Honor. I thought the 2 starts down in Florida this winter were pretty good. Came up to New York and didn't run as well. But with the class relief, maybe we get back closer to those Florida starts, which are going to mix it up nicely with this bunch. 3, 7, 8, and 4.
Here's an example, Seth, of what I've learned from you. Like Positive Carry, who's 8-5, and Our Finest Hour, who's 6-1. To me, their buyers' numbers are close enough that I think the separation in price warrants me to go to Our Finest Hour, who's dropping in for a tag for the first time, as is Positive Carry. They're 2 of the sharpest trainers on the ground, so there's no edge for me there. I'm just, the edge to me is, we're adding blinkers to Our Finest Hour. If I have confidence that Mike Maker, learned something off of the first race, and we improve. So if we improve up to we've run a 68 down at Tampa on the Ides of March, so maybe I can run a 72 or a 73. I think that puts me right there. So that's why I have Our Finest Hour, who's adding blinkers on top. Positive Carry, also another horse, first time in for a tag. And then Redo, second time in for a tag, about the same level, 8-3-7.
Race number 6 on this lovely Saturday afternoon.
Boy.
Lovely Friday afternoon.
Can you tell me who won the 6th? Can you tell me who won the 6th yesterday?
People don't realize I'm like 3 days out with Handicappers.
If you had color-coded paper clips, we could get you in line. Everything's black. They're all the same.
Somebody asked me yesterday afternoon, who was on your show this morning? And by that point, I had been up in the box going over guest lists and trying to figure out for today's show. And I've been going back and look. And it took me a few minutes to kind of I was like 3 hours earlier. Like, who was on the show? Yeah.
Now, what's funny is I used to have a rule for myself to keep things straight, is that I didn't look at the next day's entries until I went home for the previous day. I just didn't want. That was just a rule, and it was helpful. Now I have other obligations, so I can't do that. So now there is 3 days worth of horses running around, when before I just said no, I can't do that.
So, over on the front side, somebody will say, "What do you think of that 8 horse?" 8 horse. I've been looking at 28 horses over the last 2 days. So.
Yeah.
6 race this afternoon. State bred maiden specials going 5.5.
I'd be interested to who you have. I mean, it's I told you I probably received 4 whispers, and I think they're 3 for 4. Like in my lifetime. My point is I don't get very many. We landed on the same horse. Just guessing here, Bruce Levine, another winner, quietly good meet. Andy Shirley made a great point yesterday on Talking Horses that Bruce been around, 40 years. He's still here.
Yeah.
Winning races.
Yeah.
At the top level of racing. That's unbelievable how well he's gone. And obviously for many years there was, Roddy Blenny, Roddy got started in the game. But it's an offspring of Practical Joke, and Javier takes them out. We're in the middle of the pack. I just, Seth landed on the same horse at 6-1. Guess I'd be a little surprised to see that price. First time starter number 9, Monty Avi. We'll find out. Mark Henning, not known for firsters, but we talked about Dallas Stewart getting into the low teens. Mark's nearly at 10%. Offspring of Central Banker, who I love. Chasing Colton, my second pick. I like the debut. Lost to Moplex, so no problem there. Being runner-up. 5.92.
I put Joker on fire. The trainer stat jumped off. Practical Joke, pretty good so far this year with first-time starters, 44 of them, 5 wins, 4 seconds, 3 thirds. There was 4 racing siblings. One of those won its career debut. So there was a little bit of win early there. Trainer does okay. Saratoga Warrior. Only a couple of racing siblings, but one of those, Quagmire, won its career debut. Volatile, okay, as a win early sire. 13 first-time starters this year. 5 of those have hit the exacta. There's a nice workout coming into this. So I think Saratoga Warrior is playable. Under whose radar? By Violence. Violence overall pretty good first-time starter. A little late maybe this year, but in 2024, Violence has sired 24 first-time starters, 3 wins, no seconds, and a couple thirds. But again, overall, if you go back before this year, interesting there. 2 of the 5 siblings won their career debut. One was a dirt sprint. One was a 2-turn turf race. But the dirt sprint plays into the scenario today. So for me, in the 6th, 5, 8, 1, and 7.
I know it's a really irrelevant thing. Would you have let Violence pass your desk if you were?
No.
I agree with you. I thought it was a bad job by the
Yeah, I mean, it's just not.
Whomever allows it. I would not have allowed it. I wouldn't have really cared about whatever your explanation was. I would have been like, no, I'm not letting you have that name. You got to choose something else. And what's turned out to be a very above average stallion, so his name, but I always thought that was.
No, I'm with you.
You didn't have to.
Just hits the air wrong.
Yeah, that well put. It just sounds no.
Yeah.
And no matter what your rationale is. Take a quick break. When we come back, the final pick 4. All right.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
A day at the track isn't complete without a night at the Horseshoe. Great food, hot music, and cold drinks. So why go downtown when all the action's just across from the track? The Horseshoe Inn at the corner of Nelson and Gridley.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku.
The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Race number 7. Claimers going 6.
5, 8, 10, and 1 for me. Emerald Forest going out for Linda Rice. First off the claim and a drop. I looked it up. There were some intriguing numbers here. The last 3 years with a 50%, and I asked myself, essentially, looking up this 50% drop that is a formulator stat, because it doesn't make it clear. Is it 50% or 50% or more? But I looked and parsed out and looked more deeply into the horses it was counting, and it's 50% or more. So, again, with a drop of that much over the last 3 years, Linda Rice, 29 for 88, 33%. Over the last 3 years with that 50% claim drop at Saratoga, 5 for 13, 38%. But then you parse it out a little further. First off the claim, overall, 11 for 25, 44%. At Saratoga over the last 3 years, first off the claim with this kind of drop, 3 for 4.
So I'm out.
75.
So you're basically saying I'm out.
So I jumped on the stat, and I'm using Emerald Forest on top. Critical threat in the second slot. Claim 3 back. Off the claim, I thought ran well, given that we're looking at a win at 25. And I think you win at 25, put that money in the bank, and then you can drop to 12-5, and maybe it's clever. I'm a little concerned that off of that nice try last time, but on the sidelines a little bit. But again, I'm not concerned with the class move off the layup, because they put a win in the and some money in the bank. Super Chief comes in from Southern California and could be a player in here for Mike Maker, but I'm 5, 8, 10, and 1.
I always find it funny that the winner's share of the purse is greater than apparently the value of the asset.
Oh,
it seems to be kind of like intriguing.
Yeah.
Like now you do this from time to time. Don't you find Emerald Forest, the naming based on the lineage, to be cute?
Yeah.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah.
They did it. Obviously, I'm losing here because I have ribbons and medals at 12-1 with Tyler Gaffleone. Remember, we got to ship these in, the day before Tyler wins 3. But I like the effort. Wayne Potts, third start since early April. I have Chateau from the inside, another horse making the comeback, and then Lafitte's Fleet. But apparently, Emerald Forest is going to be heck to pay later this afternoon on the other side.
3 for 4. It will be interesting anyway.
Yes, it will be.
Stats are like the stock market. An indication of past performance doesn't necessarily go forward.
It does with Linda Rice.
It's going to be interesting.
Linda Rice has been
just those numbers.
None of this.
Eighth race today. Allowance non-winners are 1, other than 3/4 of a mile.
I'm 7-1 too, boy. I don't know if it's named after Ken Rosewall, but Bill Mott's runner, third start since Valentine's Day, hit the board in both of them. The last race, though, was a newfound horse, and in this barn, that's good enough for me. I can see Bill Mott maintaining that. Do-gooder from the rail comes out of an allowance race, was just up the track with trouble, and for third, Walua, Safi Joseph's runner, took to the dirt much better. But to me, I will say this, and I would take 5-2 right now on the 7. Yeah. I mean, I think people make fun of me and picking against favorites, but I find that at a very attractive price. But on the other side, and David's the best, I'm not so sure we're getting close to that.
Up that last number.
I mean, you tell me how much it is, and I've watched it, and you're 100% right.
I mean, that number just jumps off the page compared to these. 7, 4, 6, and 9 for me. So again, I'm with Roswell also. And that number, the number is a little bit of an aberration, but it's Bill Mott. It was only the 4th career start. Might have been a little bit of a light bulb situation. Certainly won nicely in the career debut, and then now has some experience against these kind of limited winners. And with that number last time, makes sense. Sam's Treasure in the second spot. Wesley Ward, trainee, ran most recently at that Belmont at Saratoga meet. Ran an okay third in there. That was off a seasonal debut down at Keeneland. A couple of improving efforts number-wise, should be primed for more today. And then Tricky Temper, a little New York bred, stepping out of New York bred stakes company. I think it's going to fit okay given the last race. The races before that are a little bit later, but there was a break from January of this year until June. So that was almost a 3-year-old debut kind of an effort. And so I'll look for this one to maybe be improved as a 3-year-old. 7, 4, 6, and 9.
So now listen, you're pronouncing this right. So that's the place in New Mexico, right?
Well,
Roswell?
That's what first jumped out at me.
What is this?
The
51?
The UFOs?
Yeah, the UFOs. It said. Take our final break. When we come back, the final Daily Double.
Bruce Cerrone and his family have continued the 102-year tradition of delighting their local following and faithful summer crowd with the finest authentic Italian recipes. Classic Italian dishes made with the freshest ingredients, served in a home-like setting. Some things have changed in the last 102 years, but not Pinnell's commitment to the finest in Italian cuisine. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, just minutes from the track.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
The only thing better than watching the races is watching your own racehorse. With nearly 20 years experience in the racing industry, Bonaventure Stables' share-based ownership program enables everyday fans to become part owner of a thoroughbred for far less than you might think, with all the ownership perks at Saratoga, Belmont, Aqueduct, and other great tracks. Experience the thrill and lifestyle of owning your own thoroughbred racehorse. Learn more at bonaventurestables.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, on a glorious Friday morning. If you have, I say about every third day, you have just 2.5 hours. I mean, you don't have to make a whole day of it. It's stop in before you go into town or whatever. But it's beautiful. It's just gorgeous out here. The 9th, we're going to go a mile and 16th on the inner turf course. Entry level allowance for the fillies and mares.
4, 10, 7, and 5. I will use Vino Rouge on top. Harold Lerner got in the game off the big win in the New Jersey lottery. That's always a great story. Going out for Tony Dutrow, third start of the season off a couple of nice efforts in the first couple of starts. Moves out of stakes company, I think is going to class up nicely. Second spot, Root Cause, also stepping out of stakes company in the two most recent starts. The most recent starts, however, were in September and October, but goes out for Chad Brown, so I don't think the layoff is going to be a huge concern. And then Determined Lily for Mike Trombetta. Trombo brings this one in off a couple of wins to start the season, so can't argue with the form so far. I have 4, 10, 7, and 5.
I put the 7 on top. It's rare for any horse, any level, to win 3 in a row, but the New York bred drops into open company 1X after winning the 2X. 2 for 2 this year. Javier takes them out. Vino Rouge. Anthony Dutrow's runner has hit the board in both starts this year, most recently, though, in the Wild Applause. And for third, Epic Miss Justice, who may better this rating as an outsider, 7, 4, 9.
Race number 10 will wind things up just about 6:15 today. State bred made specials on the grass at 5.5.
I don't think I've ever said this before, but boy, be grateful you're not on the set right now. And be grateful my friend is at about 20% of his nostril COVID usage, because it is getting rough. We'll leave it at that. 3, 7, and 9 in the finale. I thought this was a wide open race. You have a field of 12 in here, rails at 13 feet, but Horatio DePaz, going along very nicely, right? Had one yesterday, didn't he? Yeah, the opener, Smoking Hot Kitty. Well, let's see if he gets the finale today with Heart of the Night. Another horse who ran at Saratoga, but the June boutique meet, a good effort. First time for Horatio. For second, Barefoot Disco. Big price in here for Charlie Baker. I liked the debut last summer. I told you before, layoff lines, I do not care. Disco partner, a very good son of Disco Rico, who was a unfortunately, life is timing. Disco Rico turf sprints weren't a big thing for him, or I think he might have been even more successful. And better be smart for Charlie Baker's other round, a 3.79 in the finale.
I went 4, 13, 3, and 6. The 13's first on the AE list, and needs a scratch. If that one doesn't get in, take a look at the 11. But I went geopolitics for Bill Mott. Nice start 2 starts ago. The number was a crazy good number. Then moved over to the turf. The number went backwards a little bit, but it was against a tougher company, maybe in the New York Stallion Series. 3 bridesmaid finishes, though, and starting to get in that mode. Maybe I'm going to give this one more shot, though. Second spot, I do have the 13 going out for our friends at Bonaventure. And you mentioned the winner of the opener yesterday. That was for America's Pastime and Company. I had Jason Brinkman in yesterday, so it was nice to pair up a win there. Had Dan Collins from Bonaventure in a couple of days ago, and he thought the horse was in a good spot of a nice-looking debut effort here, Belmont Stakes weekend, and then Heart of the Night coming in off a nice second-place finish last time. Again, Belmont Stakes winner weekend also looks a player in the 10th and final 4, 13, 3, and 6.
The barn that's about to be on Racing Across America does not need any assistance. They are white hot.
Yeah.
But, 10-race card, beautiful Friday. I mean, it's about as good as it gets. Turf course firming up. I know it was listed as firm, but probably gets firmer as the days, this type of day. It's humidity finally kind of has
very comfortable
left us, which is
2 days ago. Wednesday was like a sauna.
It was tough, And I've always said that Seth, not only does he do 2 hours of work, but the few times I've ever sat in for whatever reason doing the 10 to the 11. The difference between 9 and 10 and 10 to 11 can be substantial. It's rare that at the Handicappers Report, it's ever like, it's a little, much. Usually this hour you can skate through. But if you have a couple hours, come on up and bet horses. Doesn't get much better than that. You want to?
Coming up at 10, they're in the green room. Cherie DeVoe and David Engordo will join us. We'll talk a little bloodstock. We'll talk some of the horses Cherie has had win up here already, and perhaps coming up later in the meet, a little bit later on. Kendrick Carmouche will join us. Perfect timing, as he had a nice day yesterday. Won the opener, won the closer yesterday. We'll also talk about him serving up some gumbo for the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation on Monday in town.
The gumbo used to be made right over there.
Back
so
here.
If we could get that back, I'd rather have that smell.
That was, Eric Guillot used to have, and Jack Sisterson will join us as well. He has some stakes runners coming up, not only here this weekend, but up at Woodbine. We'll hit on that as well. That's all coming up in just a couple.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a great Friday. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning.
This has been the Handicappers Report, brought to you by CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.